In this video, I want to start building a detail screen. But to do that, I need to get more data, something to show in the detail screen. So if I come back over to our JSON over here, let's pull back the description. So that I don't have any typos, I'm just going to copy the name, val description, which is a string. Then I want the image URL. Now it's just a string. The data is URL, it is a URL, but the data itself is just a string. So we're going to pull it back as a string. We'll have to deal with it as a URL later. And then I want the food pairings, because we'll do a search feature on that later. Where did it go? Here it is. Food pairings, note, is an array of strings. So we'll come over here, val food pairings, data type, list of strings. And actually that would be optional too. And I got too many colons. Okay, there we go. So while we're here, let's stop and talk just a second about more complex data types. So I'm not actually interested in ingredients, but let's say I did. Let's say I did want it. So ingredients is an object, right? It's got a property called malt, hops, and yeast. Yeast is just a regular string, but malt and hops are objects themselves. Malt has a name and an amount. Amount is an object that has two properties, value and unit. So let's just do, I'm not going to do hops too, it'll take too long, but let's just do this much of it. Let's say I wanted to bring these in and parse them in my JSON. And so that I can see everything all together, I'll bring it over here and paste it. And well, I wish I would have pasted a little bit easier, but I think it's legible enough. Okay, so the way to start this is I'm going to start from the bottom and kind of work my way. Well, actually, that's not how I would do it in the real world. How I would actually do this is I'd start top and work down. And when you're building out these objects to parse JSON into, it's very easy to have errors. And if you try to do too much at once, then nothing works. So what I tend to do is start real simple and then just keep adding things and making sure it works. So for example, before I even did this at all, I may go ahead and run the app just to make sure that what I have here, I just added these new values, right? Let's make sure they parse. And the reason I'm going to know it parses is that I don't get an error. Okay, everything ran just fine, no errors. Okay, so now the next thing is I've got this data type called ingredients, right? So let's go down here. And again, I'm sure I will mistype ingredients, so let's do that. So val ingredients, and the data type is, well, this is an object. I'm going to have to define it. So I'll come down here and say class ingredients. And this name can be whatever I want. It's my data type. Yes, email. And ingredients has a name. So I may start with just that, val name string. And now up here I can say ingredients is of data type ingredients. The JSON parser will take care of now parsing this object and loading it into this variable. It's just you have to build the structure properly, and you have to make sure you get all the variable names proper. So now when I run, if I didn't get any errors, we know we did it right. There we go. So same thing, the next property, let's say I wanted now the amount here, that is an object. It's got two properties, value and unit, so I would need to do class amount val value, looks like a double, and val unit, which looks like a string. And now up here I can say ingredients val malt, oh no, whoops, I missed one. Sorry, I went too far. Again, this is why you have to break it down into steps. We have ingredients, and then after ingredients we have malt, which is an array of malts. and then those have amounts. Sorry about that. It's easy. And again, this is why I say do it in steps. So let's do class malt. It's got val name, which is a string, and it's got val amount, which is an amount. And ingredients has val, it's got a malt, right? A malt here. That is a list of malt. So hopefully you see all I've done here, and I did it on one file. You could put these in multiple files, but when you're building up these hierarchies that you're just parsing JSON, a lot of times people would just do these simple classes just right in the same file so you can see it all together. It's up to you, personal preference. I see it done both ways. If they're very simple, I'll tend to stick them all in one also. I just think it makes it easier. The other thing you could do is inner classes. If you feel like having separate classes in one file. Some places will have coding standards, and if you try to put more than one class in one file, the code review will reject you. And these are manual reviewers typically. They'll look at it and say, nope, this violates our policy. So what you could do is do these as inner classes, and you'll see that a lot too. But again, getting into something that maybe doesn't matter for right now. But hopefully you followed this. And now when I run it, if I did everything right, and I'd say 50-50 shot on that, oh, I did, and it worked. So that's what you do. Just add things in slowly, right? Start with ingredients, get that in there. For that I had to create a malt object. For malt I had to create an amount. But build yourself up slowly, add as little at a time as you can to make sure it works. Because when you do get errors, the error message you get back from the parse is almost useless. But anyway, we don't need any of that for our program. I just wanted to cover it. We just want these pieces of data. Okay, so now we have our data. We are ready to start with the program. Or start with the detail screen. But you know what? I'm going to just break this up into another file. So next video.